Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Ben. I'm a meditation and spiritual teacher, and in today's video, in this beautiful setting, I'm going to be talking to you more about avatars, divine avatars. Some people may associate these as being ascended masters or advanced souls. They're slightly different, and I have spoken about avatars previously on different videos on my channel, but I always get more and more questions. Every time I post a video about avatars, I'll get more questions, and the questions are normally brilliant, and I think, I didn't touch on that part of the topic. So as a very quick overview, for those of you who didn't see those first videos and you're wondering what the hell is an avatar, is that the only link that you've got with an avatar is the film Avatar. Avatar is a Sanskrit word that directly means basically descent, and it's in relation to God or the divine or the creator or the absolute, whatever you term that totality, coming down directly into a human form in order to speak with human beings and form a relationship with human beings that they wouldn't otherwise be able to form with God. So it's really there, it really takes place to enable human beings to get direct teachings and direct contact with God in a way that they would never normally get that contact. Because many people, they're not going to be open to the idea, or it's going to be hard for them to become open to the idea of God when they've got no tangible link with God. You know, as far as spiritual seekers are aware, those of you who may watch this video on my channel, and perhaps you're more spiritually open, you may understand that everything is actually God. So you're interacting with God to one extent or another at all times. But for people that aren't yet at that stage, it's very hard to comprehend the idea of there being a God. So avatars come down into human form. Some come down and are known and make themselves known, and some come down and will never make themselves known, and there are different reasons for this. But some of the questions, and before I get onto the questions, actually, the reason that I have an understanding of this and can talk about it so openly and with such accuracy, I suppose, without sort of coming across too arrogantly, is because I've been taught and still am taught by a divine avatar. So a lot of the teachings, pretty much all the teachings that I share on my channel, have been passed on to me by my teacher, and I now pass on through my channel and through my online school, which is called the Inner Journey School, where I teach meditation techniques and basically help people to deepen and develop that connection with God, and you know, they've got a community and all of that sort of stuff. So my teacher, or in fact I'll explain why I've decided to make another video. Basically, people were asking me questions on the other videos that I've made, saying, okay, like enjoyed that video, but do avatars just appear one day? You know, are they born like a normal human being is born? How does an avatar come to be? And it's a brilliant question, and I often skim over and just don't take in these types of questions, or don't think of these types of questions, because I suppose just with my relationship with my teacher, it's already obvious and clear to me. But it's a great question, and the answer to that question is that yes, avatars are born in the exact same way that a normal human being is born. They don't just appear one day, as far as I'm aware. Maybe there are some that have, but as far as I'm aware, the ones that I'm aware of, they have all been born in a normal way. They all have families, friends, some of them have partners, some of them go on to have normal families. And a lot of the reason that they do that, the ones that I'm sort of thinking of, especially my teacher, the reason that he's gone about his life in the way that he has, is to really demonstrate and show to his close devotees, which I'm very blessed and fortunate to be one of, and there's maybe 10 or 15 others, to show us that it is possible to live as a human being and to live in the world and to take the knocks of life and still have a very spiritual life, to have those two in sync, to have a family that maybe aren't spiritual, to have a partner, a wife or husband that is not interested whatsoever in the spiritual path, yet he has demonstrated through his life that is possible, and that you don't necessarily need a partner that's spiritually open and spiritually interested. You can lead a very deeply profound spiritual life and massively evolve and grow spiritually, whilst to some extent keeping it a complete secret. And it doesn't need to be a secret, but there's many people in my life, many friends, family and things, not so much close family but broader family, that have actually no real idea of this aspect of my life, and I'm quite happy with that. It doesn't matter to me. It's almost like if I often liken it to if I was interested in trains or some bizarre hobby. I don't need everyone else in my life to be interested in that hobby. I know spirituality is deeper than that. It's broader because it is the very essence of who you are, but I can create that separation in my conversations with people and the way that I sort of flow through life. So yeah, they live a very normal life in that they're born like a human being. They will often go through hardships like human beings go through. Interestingly though, they don't accumulate or create any karma. So because their actions are absolutely perfect, because they are quite literally the divine that has come down to speak with humanity or people, all their actions are pure. They can't say a mistruth. They don't do things wrong. And I know that sounds hard to believe. Occasionally they'll do things that make no odds to anyone wrong in order to just, I suppose, convince people, for want of a better way of putting it, that they're a human being. So I remember, for example, that I went round to my teacher's house once, and his wife was telling me how he had burnt a pizza earlier that day. And it made me laugh because I just thought it was such a great sort of demonstration of his humanness, and it was obviously purposefully done. He's all knowing. He's the divine. He doesn't. Those kinds of things are beyond an avatar to make a mistake, but it makes him seem more human. So it's quite interesting how avatars, often the ones that are living in normal families and things, will do things like that in order to kind of maintain the human persona, I suppose. And he very often would say to me, this whole life of mine, it's a bit of an act. I do have to act and behave like a human being. The divine is totally different to a human being. Human beings have created their own ways of living and thinking and interests and what have you. And for the divine to come down to a human being's level, to interact with human beings, to help them to eventually reach God again, the divine has to interact in a human way. And so that through doing that, it is an act. It is a front that they have to put on in order to kind of allow us in, or I suppose that's the way of putting it. It makes them feel like another one of us, another human being, another person that you can develop a relationship with. So yeah, a large portion of the way that they move about in life and the way that they act in life, it is an act. And that's quite interesting. I find that quite interesting. But to some extent, the way that for me personally, the way that I then interact with other friends of mine that aren't spiritually interested, it's also a bit of an act, because there's a lot of things that people talk about that I have absolutely no interest in. Because the more that you immerse yourself in spirituality, and the closer that you get to God, the more you merge in God, the less interest you have in the world. And that is something that over the last probably 10 years I've come to experience very, very clearly, is that your interests do drop away more for the world, but you kind of have to, in order to still live in the world and actually have friends and things like that, you have to almost show interest. So it's almost like I don't know, it must be like for the divine, sometimes when if you ever go to like a family party and there's like a young, I don't know, if you've got like a young nephew or something, and they're grabbing your leg going, oh, come and play with the toy cars outside with you, And part of you thinks, oh God, I really don't want to have to play with the toy cars, but I'll go outside and I'll pretend like I'm interested. I kind of imagine that the divine is a bit like that. The divine is, through the divine's love, come down and shown interest in things that we're interested in for the sake of us, for the fulfillment of our needs and what we would expect of an avatar. But an avatar is quite literally the divine, so every teaching is pure truth, and every teaching is also very much blessed. So, for example, my teacher, the types of meditations that he passed on to me, some of which I've began passing on to others through, as I say, my school and things like that. He always says to me, these teachings are blessed. These have now the divine blessing with them, and anyone that embraces them fully and sort of adopts them will also have that blessing. And he's always also said to me, make sure that you keep these teachings pure, because I think it's noticeable through religions, isn't it, how teachings get polluted. You pass a teaching on to one person and they just make a small adjustment, and they pass it on to the next person and they make a small adjustment, and in a few lifetimes the teaching is way off the mark from what it was initially. So I have always made a big point, and I will continue to be very absolute in the way that I teach, that I pass on the teachings exactly as they were taught and passed on to me. And I would, if ever I pass these teachings on to someone else in a teaching capacity, I would hope and kind of expect, if that's the right word, that they would pass them on in the same way. So it's a very unique relationship with a human being. And he said to me many times, I can't remember the exact figure, but it was some hundreds of millions. You've got a 1 in 100 million opportunity with being in a close relationship with the divine. And there's been occasions where naturally, and I think every spiritual seeker has this along the path, you want a bit more from it. You want more. You want something more substantial. You want proof of what it is that you're doing. And I have had proof over the years, but there's been periods before that where I hadn't had proof. And I'd ask him, not much is happening. And he'd sort of say to me, count your blessings. You've found God in human form. You've found God in this lifetime. You've quite literally found what it is that everyone is looking for. Be grateful for that. And I suppose the reason I'm bringing this up is because I hope that through this channel and through my teachings in my school and anywhere else that I end up teaching, you're getting the teachings of an avatar through this. It's what I teach is very much, it just flows through. I like to see that it's kind of flowing through me from the divine, and you're hopefully absorbing it and learning and evolving. And through the messages that I get from you guys and emails and different things, I have no doubt that it's making a big impact, because I hear it directly from so many people that you've taken on this idea of connecting more with the divine, or the little teachings have helped you here and there in certain ways. So I know for certain that they're making a big impact, and this is really what the purpose of the divine coming down is for. And to me it shows the humility of the divine, that they're totally happy remaining absolutely unknown, yet in a sense allowing me, and I don't do this personally, but to some extent allowing me to take the credit for the teachings that I'm sharing. How amazing is that? How many teachers or people, how many human beings would do that? How many human beings would be at such an advanced state and have such knowledge and such wisdom to share, but share it and want absolutely nothing for it, and want to be totally unknown in the sharing of it? That in itself to me is a sign of a divine avatar, someone that is happy to do that. I'm thinking now that if you have any more questions around avatars, I'm happy to do more videos, and I think if you can list questions down below in the comments, I will write them up. I'll note them down, and then I'll make a video directly about those particular questions. But hopefully this video answers the question regarding how an avatar is born, and kind of fills in a few gaps here and there. But if you're interested in joining my online school, as I said earlier, links in the description. But failing that, I'll see you on the next video.